What it is, yo. We are back with another Top 5 exclusive here on the MacGuffin Podcast. I'm Allen.
I'm Brandi.
And today on our Top 5, we are going to be talking about our Top 5 bad movies by good directors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think...
no one's filmography is perfect.
Exactly.
So.
Like, if you've made a ton of really good movies, there's probably at least one in there that is not good. And I just picked 5 that were, like, biggest disappointments for me personally, because I really thought they were going to be good and then they weren't. So I think there's a lot that you could pick.
Yeah, there's a lot
from filmmakers that I still very much respect. So
cool. Did you want to start off on this one?
Sure. Okay, my number 5 is I think this is the first movie I can remember just paying to see in the theater and being angry afterwards. Like, I am angry that I paid money to see that, and that is Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes remake. That is not a good film.
What was going on with that movie? Seriously, right?
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Yeah, I mean, what more can you say? I think everyone has realized that this is really like a terrible, terrible film, so...
Everything about it, from like the casting to the acting to the dialogue to the makeup to the really crazy like weird twist at the end, like,
yeah, that made no sense at all. Like, it's definitely a what were you thinking film for someone who has done a lot of movies that I really like. Edward Scissorhands is one of my favorites of all time. I was very into Sweeney Todd, which I know is a controversial thing to say on this podcast. But I just think he's usually very solid, and even when his movies aren't the greatest, like, they're still interesting. But that one was just a wreck. It was bizarre.
Yeah.
So.
Oh man.
Still love you, Tim Burton, but not for that.
Okay, for my number 5 pick. Now, to me, the Coen brothers have made probably the best films of like the last 20 years, maybe even longer than that, maybe. I love like almost everything they've done, which is kind of surprising when you talk about the Lady Killers. I blind bought this DVD, like thinking, oh, Tom Hanks, the Coen brothers, this is going to be a great movie.
I've actually never bothered to watch it because I've just heard that it's very terrible.
I put the DVD in, I was watching, I was like, okay, what the hell, right? I mean, what the heck is going on? The movie was like not entertaining, it wasn't funny, just good God, Tom Hanks playing just this really weird eccentric character. The whole film itself was just weird, and I'm not talking about like Coen brother like good weird, just like bad weird, you know what I mean? After watching that, I was just like, oh man, I'm just so disappointed. It's one of the few films that I bought that I actually returned because I just could not like bear the thought of having that on my shelf. Yeah, just Lady Killers.
This is going to be some good catharsis for us.
Yeah. Letting go.
All right, my number 4 from a filmmaker who has I think he's had a lot of hits, a lot of misses, but always sort of interesting, and that is Spike Lee, The 25th Hour, which I just think is a very ridiculous movie that tries to be very deep and profound, but it's really just 2 hours of hitting you over the head with messages about, I don't know, freedom or something, and I didn't care about the characters. I didn't really understand why we were supposed to feel sorry for him, and then the ending is just absolutely ridiculous.
I do agree with you that this is not one of Spike Lee's best films. In fact, I do feel that it has garnered way too much acclaim than it really deserves. I mean, the story is just like really meandering, a lot of things happening that just have no point. There's characters there that really don't matter to like the gist of the entire film. With that said, though, I kind of dig it just for like Edward Norton's storyline and his
Norton.
I do. Yeah. But I mean, I totally agree with you. If you were to ask me what one of Spike Lee's best movies is, I would not pick this film at all.
I don't understand why anyone would pick it.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on to my number 4 pick. My number 4 pick is from Brian De Palma, and the film is Black Dahlia. It's like, it's one thing to like make a bad film noir. It's another thing to make a bad copy of bad film noirs. You know what I mean? It had all of the surface of that style of filmmaking and not enough of the substance. right? There's some good actors in it, you know, Scarlett Johansson, Aaron Eckhart, Hilary Swank, and Josh Hartnett, but it just seemed like everyone in that film was just posing, and like their performances were so mannered, and the story, which is based on a true story, which is actually really interesting, they just completely ruined, and it was just went to these places that I just didn't get, and oh god,
This is another one that I never watched because I heard that it was terrible.
Don't watch it at all.
And that it makes no sense too,
Yeah,
so,
it makes no sense.
Right. My number 3 is from 2007, is from a filmmaker who has done some really solid comedies in her career, and even the ones that haven't been great movies have been well directed at least. So I did not understand how Amy Heckerling made I Could Never Be Your Woman, which is just really bad.
I've never seen this one.
Yeah, and people, this stars Paul Rudd, and I thought it was really bad.
Whoa, weird. Wow.
He and Michelle Pfeiffer play, like, they have like a little bit of like a May-December romance going on, which is just sort of like, what is she, like 7 years older than him in real life? Like, is that really so scandalous?
Oh, is he like an actor? And she's like, oh,
and she's a writer, and blah blah blah, and like Tracy
Thank you for
Ullman
letting
is
me
in it
remember
playing
this
like
movie.
Mother Nature, who like talks to
Yeesh.
Michelle Pfeiffer in her head, and like it's not great acting from people who are usually much better in a script that has a lot of problems. But the thing that's really amazing is it just looks so crappy.
It looks like a made-for-TV film or something like that. A bad made-for-TV movie.
Like that's an insult to a lot of made-for-TV movies. I don't understand how someone with Amy Heckerling's resume could have actually been behind the camera and made something that looks that bad.
Ouch. Ooh, man. Okay. Let's move on. My number 3 pick. Oh my god. Francis Ford Coppola, why did you make Jack?
I knew you were going to have this on your list.
Made like some of the greatest films of all time, like in the 70s.
What a creepy, weird movie.
Jack is just like this weird like concoction of ideas. I mean, you have Robin Williams playing like this, like a 10-year-old kid inside of a 40-year-old man's body. What the heck, man? You know, it wasn't
There's
funny.
Not going to be a heartwarming ending to that.
It
either,
wasn't
so,
like it wasn't touching or anything like that. It just made me feel depressed when I watched it, especially like near the end where he was like graduating like high school and stuff, and he's like barely getting into the car, and he's like has his cape and his hat on. He's like, "Yeah, I did it, parents." You know, I'm like, "Oh my god, let's like get away from this."
Very strange movie.
But I'm really glad that Francis Ford Coppola is finally coming back. With Tetro, a film that I think is great. But man, Jack, man, wipe that off. Man, wipe that off our plates, please.
All right. My number 2, I think there are a lot of people who actually do like this movie, but I thought it was so strange and I just couldn't get on board with it. And the previous movie that this director had made was one of my favorites of all time. This is Pedro Almodovar with Bad Education.
Oh.
I don't know why I had to watch 2 hours of like Gael Garcia Bernal in drag or whatever was going on in that film, but I was just like, I don't understand how this is from the same person who just made Talk to Her, which is one of the best films of all time.
Yeah, I'm actually
like it just did not agree with me. I mean, it was definitely well shot, like all of his stuff is, but like just the script was crazy and it didn't do it for me at all. And like I'm just putting it on this list because, like I said, like personal disappointment.
Wow, that's really interesting because I'm a big fan of Almodovar, and I really liked All About My Mother and even like Volver and everything. And Bad Education was definitely like one that I was going to see. And I mean, do you think I should still see the movie?
I think you should see it because it's kind of interesting. But I mean, I wish that I loved it the way I love Talk to Her or All About My Mother or some of his earlier stuff, and I just.
Wow. Oh man, what's going on? Crazy. Okay. All right, let's move on to my number 2. My number 2 filmmaker is Gus Van Sant, and the film he made was the Psycho remake.
Has he really like made so much stuff that's awesome that we can like really?
Well, you know what? Some of his stuff, like I liked a lot of his films, like Good Will Hunting and Milk, and even like something like Elephant. Right? Elephant was. It had qualities that I admired, but man, the Psycho remake, there was no point in making that movie, especially the way he made it. Shot for shot, really? Do we really need to see a shot for shot remake of this film? I mean, come on, dude. Like, we don't need that. I mean, if you're going to...
get that out of your system while you're in film school and don't do it later when you're going to expect people to pay money for it.
Exactly. And then he just threw like all these weird things in it, like these weird cuts about like with naked bodies and like car crashes and all that stuff. We don't need that. You know, the original was perfect the way it is. We don't need to see Vince Vaughn like doing a weird imitation of Anthony Perkins. So let's totally forget about that movie. So.
All right. My number one, this is kind of a weird pick. You guys are going to make fun of me, but like there's a team of directors who made two incredibly good films for Disney, which is Beauty and the Beast and The Hunchback of Notre Dame, which we put on our top 5. It was on yours, but I definitely agreed with that.
Okay.
And then their third collaboration was Atlantis: The Lost Empire, which I think is like one of the worst animated films I've ever seen.
Really?
And I was so mad at it in the theater because I thought it was going to be like, oh, fun adventure, and like Michael J. Fox does the voice, and like I was going to be like, this is going to be great. And that movie's stinks. Like, it's just not good. And
wow.
I know they're great. Like, how could you make two such great movies and then come back and make that mess? I don't know. But it's kind of a silly one to put at number 1, but I was just so disappointed.
I'm sad to report that I actually own this movie. But you know what? I haven't seen it in a long time, so I don't know.
Maybe I'm being unfair. I haven't seen it in a long time either because it was just so crushing for me that it wasn't that good. But I don't know. That's it. That's
cool.
my number 1.
That's how it is. Okay. My number 1 film is from a filmmaker you actually mentioned already. His name is Spike Lee.
Ooh.
Oh man, She Hate Me from 2004. Is probably
like, you're just picking a lot of movies that I never bothered watching.
One of the worst films I have ever seen. The basic plot line about this movie is about a guy who gets fired or gets kicked out of his job because he reveals like corporate scandal, right? Mm-hmm. So to make money, he goes and pimps himself out to lesbians. He impregnates lesbians for a living.
Wow.
Exactly, right?
Thinks very highly of themselves.
I was watching this
really,
movie and I was like,
on a lot of
this
levels.
is incredible. Like, I can't believe I'm actually seeing this. There's a moment where...
Is it supposed to be satire? And
I don't know what it's supposed to be satire. Like, I don't know if it's supposed to be like corporate corruption. I don't know if it's about racism. I don't know if it's about gender issues. It's just a complete mess from the guy who made Do the Right Thing, which is an incredible film. I mean, such a disappointment, man. God, I'm getting angry about this. I need to bring my blood pressure down.
Right. Well, like we said, I still love all these filmmakers, and I'll watch whatever they do, but it's so sad for those particular experiences.
Yeah. So if you guys have any bad movies by good directors that you'd like to share, please let us know at MacGuffinPodcast.com. And we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Peace.